You know, I've reviewed a lot of streaming devices over the years, and there's an issue that keeps popping up with a lot of them, so I thought I would highlight that today. And that is, you should always buy the 4K version. And the reason why is both complex and technical, but also really simple. So, let's dive in. Alright everybody, thanks for joining me today. Don't forget, if you like this video, then go ahead and give it a like. Subscribe and join me on Fridays at 2 p.m. Eastern for live streams where we do fun Q&A stuff and giveaways for devices a lot like this. So yeah, hope to see you there. So why should you always buy the 4K version of a streaming product? Well, let's get the technical explanation out of the way first. Basically, we're going to be looking at a few different things when we look at the tech specs for a device like this. First of all, the CPU, the central processing unit. The RAM is number 2, that's also known as the memory, and then there's the Wi-Fi performance. Now, obviously, Wi-Fi performance determines how quickly your device receives data. The CPU and RAM performance are all about how quickly the device itself operates. The better both of those categories are, the less time you'll spend scrolling, typing, and loading, and the more time you'll spend watching. Now, the thing we're not looking at today is picture quality, because it's kind of self-explanatory. If you're after 4K or Dolby Vision or HDR10 or whatever, then that's pretty easy to tell from the box whether you get it. But my point with all of this is, even if you feel like you just need 1080p, you should still buy the 4K device anyway. And here's why. Let's look at the specs. Now, the lineup of devices that it might be easiest to see this with is the Fire Stick and Fire TV Cube. So as we look at these, let's go back to our 3 metrics. The Fire Stick, the regular base version, the 1080p, the HD version, has a quad-core 1.3 gigahertz processor with 1 gigabyte of RAM, that's DDR3 RAM, and 802.11 AC Wi-Fi. Now, that may all be Greek to you, and that's fine. I can't pretend that I'm super technically savvy, but let's look at it in comparison to the Fire Stick 4K. It also has a quad-core processor, but this one is capable of 1.7 gigahertz speeds. It also has 1.5 gigabytes of RAM, and this is DDR4 RAM, so this is basically the next generation of RAM. And it's got the same Wi-Fi capabilities. So already we can see that the Fire Stick 4K is capable of more than the regular Fire Stick, right? It's got a better processor, it's got more RAM, it's got better RAM. It's just got more guts. I mean, much like myself. Now, we could stop there, but let's actually take a look at the Fire TV Cube as well. It actually has 2 processors. It's got a quad-core 2.2 gigahertz processor, plus it's got a full 2 gigabytes of RAM. Now, what does this actually mean? Well, the Fire TV Cube is a little bit different because it's not just a streaming device, it's also got an Echo built right in, and that thing is always running, right? So that's why they need that extra processor in there, need a little bit of extra RAM because she is always listening. But still, we can see just from the numbers that yeah, the Fire TV Cube, you're paying more, but you're getting more for it as well. So the Fire TV line is a really great example of all this, but there's also a new device on the block. A couple weeks ago, I did a review of Walmart's new streaming devices, the ON Streaming Stick and the ON Streaming Box. They both come with ARM's A53 processor, which is capable of about 1.8 gigahertz. But the streaming stick has 1 gigabyte of RAM, while the streaming box has 2 gigabytes of RAM. Now, Roku also shows this pattern up to a certain extent. The Roku Express versus the Roku Express 4K Plus is a great illustration. The base model comes with the A53 processor and 512 megabytes of RAM, whereas the Roku Express 4K Plus comes with the A55 processor, the next gen, with a full gigabyte of RAM and better Wi-Fi reception. Now, this is a little bit unfair because that original Roku Express, I think this is a 4 or 5-year-old model now, that one just isn't going to have the same guts as some of these other newer types of devices. But that's the thing about Roku. They are continually updating their equipment. So case in point is the Roku Streaming Stick Plus, which still has an older processor, 1 gigabyte of RAM, but it does have the newer Wi-Fi system in there. But just based on the numbers, it actually isn't quite as good as the Roku Express 4K Plus. So what does this mean practically? What does this mean for you on a day-to-day basis? Obviously, by the numbers, 4K devices perform better than HD ones, especially when it comes to CPU and RAM. This means that every time you turn on your device, you're going to wait a little bit less. Every time you click on a navigation button, you wait a little bit less. Every time you open an app, you wait a little bit less. Maybe a lot less in that case. Now, Wi-Fi is a little bit different story, and it's somewhat less important. The only device on the list without the latest Wi-Fi standard is the Roku Express, that old 4-year-old model. So it looks like there's no difference between the others. But as Jared Newman over at TechHive has noted, there is a big difference in Wi-Fi performance between sticks and boxes, with boxes outperforming the sticks by a wide margin. The theory here is that the boxes have more room to optimize the antenna placement inside. Very possibly true. But Jared's tests showed that most devices in most situations got well over the 25 megabits per second threshold, which is what you would need to stream 4K video. So the Roku Ultra got 50 megabits per second and the Fire TV Cube got 190 megabits per second. And while that sounds impressive, it's not going to have that much impact on your actual viewing quality because even a 4K stream only needs that 25 megabits per second. So yeah, it really does come down to the processor and the RAM and how much speed you're able to get out of that device. Because yeah, on a day-to-day basis with all the clicking, all the navigating, all the typing that you're doing, if it's slow, if you have a half second or a full second delay every time you click the button, or if it takes 25 seconds instead of 6 seconds to pull up a Netflix title, yeah, it's gonna get real old real quick, I promise. But that's all the technical stuff. I also said there's a really simple reason to pick up the 4K device instead of the HD one, and that's price. Now, they do usually cost more. Usually though, the difference in the price is a matter of $5 to $10. Getting the on-streaming box is only $5 more than the stick. The Fire Stick 4K is usually only about $10 more than the HD version. So, in my mind, it's kind of a no-brainer. Certainly a no-brainer if you're thinking about a Roku Express versus the Express 4K Plus. I mean, they're the same price. Now, on the other hand, if you're bumping all the way up to the Roku Ultra or the Fire TV Cube, you're gonna pay more than just a few bucks extra. But you're probably doing it for more bells and whistles than just a bump in speed and performance, right? So let me know in the comments if you have any thoughts or experience with this particular topic, and let me know if you agree with my assessment or if you're wrong. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. If you liked this video, then yeah, go ahead and give it a like. If not, then, And don't forget to subscribe and join me for my Friday live streams. I will see you there.